YouTube live streaming. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know. And then, and then I wanted to talk about the Gillette razor ad. Why? Because someone on my Facebook page, or actually, I was on someone else's Facebook page, and they were talking about toxic masculinity. So, yeah, let's start with that one first. Let's do the toxic masculinity first before the Brexit, right? And then I want to go to the terms and words that liberals use that everyone embraces. And I wonder why. That's the next thing I want to talk about. And then I want to talk about, I have so many, and then I want to talk about the compromise that Trump entered into, or the compromise that he offered to the Democrats to end the shutdown. Because what? Today is what? The 30th day of the partial shutdown, right? 30 days we've been partially shut down, and Trump is willing to, he made an offer to the Democrats, and that offer included an extension, 3-year extension for DACA folks and TPS, temporary protective status folks. Yeah. And Nancy Pelosi immediately, or the Democrats immediately rejected it. So that, I just mentioned it. I'm going to get back to that later. But first, I want to go back. What am I going back to? Brexit or the Gillette razor? Oh, let's do the Gillette razor ad. So on my friend's Facebook page, he was talking about the toxic masculinity. So we all know about the necessity for the Black family. We all know that the family is the most important institution in society. All knowledgeable and intelligent people realize that, right? And then we all know, I'm a data girl, and we all know that Black America is now at 27% two-parent families. Daddies are important. Daddies are important, right? I mean, if my parents divorced, in fact, I think Dennis Prager was talking about divorce. If my parents divorced, and people were getting divorced a lot. If my parents divorced, I doubt I would have went to law school. I doubt I would have went to college. I doubt it. Because, my mom wasn't necessarily focused on what was required or what was expected of me to go to college. I hope she's not listening. Mama, she would deny that. But yeah, she's probably listening. Mom, I didn't mean it as an insult. But I'm just saying that given the situation that my dad was in the house, and the financial situation and the economic situation, and the fact that I didn't want to disappoint my dad, I knew I was going to college, right? And my dad knew he was paying. And that was just a given. That was just a given. So if my parents got divorced, and in fact, my dad may have said that to me. He said, listen, if I divorced your mother, I don't know if you would have gone to college. And he didn't mean that tongue in cheek, but he just knew that, focused on the economic conditions and things of this nature wasn't something my mother was necessarily concerned about. She didn't have to concern herself with economics. Lucky woman, right? With the economics of the family. That just wasn't something that she was necessarily focused on. And I know, and I don't mean, I love my mother, and I know her attitude would be a little more cavalier, I should say, to put it nicely, right? But so why was I talking? Oh, so I was bringing that up because I'm talking about the necessities for daddies. How having a father can make a difference in your life, in your future endeavors and experiences, can mold your life, having a father in your life. Yes. Normal people realize that. Intelligent people realize that. Knowledgeable people, experienced people realize that. Daddies make a difference. So when you talk about, and so people who talk about toxic masculinity, it's like, it's an alien concept to me, because I had a daddy and he was like the best thing since sliced bread to me, because I had options. I could go to him and talk about anything. It was, I never had anything negative with my father. It was just a wonderful, I'm like a daddy's girl. No slight on my mother, but, I am, so to speak. And I knew that anything I wanted, I could go and ask him, long as it was within reason, and long as it, because I think I was a good girl. I did things well. I did things right. I went to school and all that stuff. So as long as I was going to school and I was focused on my life, my future, being positive, pursuing happiness, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, right? So when you talk about toxic masculinity, that's like an alien concept to me, right? It's an alien concept to me. Masculinity is a good thing. Masculinity is a good thing. My father was a masculine man. He protected the family. I think that's a good thing. We knew, I never felt any insecurity in my family. I was never uncertain about anything. I never felt fear that something would, come down on the family and, whisk us away to some kind of bad circumstance. I never felt that. I felt protected in my family. I felt everything was kosher, everything was good, life was good. So therefore, I could pursue happiness. I could pursue my interests because everything was taken care of. There was no insecurity in my family ever. That's what daddies do. That's what daddies do. And so and that's like a masculine trait. As I said, my mother, women are more emotional, and this is the thing. I think men, the feminist movement has destroyed the Black family. No doubt about it. Because we know the data, we know how many two-parent families we had in the 40s. And we know that the family is the most important institution in society because look at society now without families. For all families, 50% have one parent. And look at society. Look at society. There's chaos, there's mess, there's discord, there's people are upset, they feel insecure, they aren't anchored to their family. There's, so anyway, when you say toxic masculinity, I just can't attack men like that. Yeah, I talk about today's men need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to be more responsible, held accountable, more focused on being traditional. I believe in traditionalism. Men have been around for thousands of years. We've had thousands of years of civilization. And were men toxic then? Men are like the hunters and gatherers of society. We need that, right? Because I don't think I'm going out there hunting and gathering. I mean, I work, but, I just, I don't know. But yes, I do know because I grew up in a traditional family and it was the best thing yet. That's why, that's probably why I have confidence. A lot of Black folks don't have confidence to me. They're insecure. And I think that has a lot to do with not having a father. Your father gives you confidence that you can do things and that you can achieve things and that you can go out in the world and you feel protective. That's one thing that my father always used to say, no matter what you go through, Kathleen, you always have a home. No matter what I experience, I always have a home, right? This is what daddies say. This is how daddies protect their children. So how can masculinity be protected? So if something befalls us like some great catastrophe, are we going to look to feminists to protect us? Am I going to go and say, oh my God, I need a feminist to protect me from this great catastrophe? If the abominable snowman comes trailing through Crenshaw Boulevard, am I going to go get a feminist to protect me? What do you think? Anyway, so we were having an argument. Obviously, this was a white feminist who believed in toxic masculinity. And she said that I was sort of like a lost cause because I didn't believe in toxic masculinity. And I said, I'm talking about the Black family. And I'm talking about the necessity for Blacks to have a traditional family. This is my purview. Why are you even in this? And I said, feminism destroyed the Black family, destroyed all families because free sex feminism and the sexual revolution destroyed families. I mean, if you follow that to its logical conclusion, it makes sense because we look at the data before free sex feminism and the sexual revolution. We look at the data, of marriage and we see what we have now. As I said, all American families only have for all American families, 50% have only one parent. 50%. You know, and it's even higher. In fact, I spoke to Judge Joe Brown about that. And when the parents are younger, I think he said under 25 or under 20, it's like 82% are one parent. So I mean, and society is so when you're feminist. So I don't even know why. Why do we go through this stuff? Why do we keep going over the same territory over and over and over and over, trying to convince folks? There are just certain givens, to things. It's like, what do you know definitively? What do you know? Not what do you believe? What do you think? What do you know definitively? When you grow up with two parents, you know that dads are the best things going. You get options you wouldn't have if you had one parent. You get options you wouldn't have with just one parent. Unless you're just born rich or whatever. You just, two incomes are better than one. Two incomes are better than one. No man is an island. Two heads are better than one. This is just basic, logic. So that's another thing that I wanted to decide, was I going to title this show Democrats? I did last week, Democrats are the most unknowledgeable and illogical folks on the planet, part 2, because the week prior, it was part 1. So then I think I'm titling this show, Democrat voters are the most shallow and superficial folks on the planet. I mean, from here on out, I might just start titling these shows about Democrat voters. They always resort to name calling when you're trying to discuss issues. So, and it's like sexist, misogynist, Islamophobic, racist. No, how do you, first I'm going to say define it. Define sexism, define racism. Because if we don't agree on the definition of these words, how can we communicate? How can we communicate if we don't agree on the definition? And I don't think most Black folks know what the definition of racism is, despite the dictionary definition. I don't even go with the dictionary definition. Why? Because how do we get terms how are words defined in the dictionary? By common usage. And you see how the media now is changing the definition of immigrant. You see how they've done that? So in 10 years from now, the Webster's dictionary will define an immigrant different based on the common usage. And who determines the common usage? The media. Because people who are knowledgeable don't define people entering the country illegally as immigrants. We call them illegal aliens because that's all in the federal legislation, so on and so forth, right? They're illegal aliens, but everyone in the media says they're undocumented workers or they're illegal immigrants. They're not immigrants because an immigrant isn't subject to deportation. So now in the dictionary, 10 years from now, they will have changed the definition of an immigrant. It will be either they're here illegally or they're here not illegally. So it's common usage, how words are used in the definition. And the media determines the common usage. So I remember people were laughing at me because, I don't agree with the definition of racism in the dictionary. No, I don't. Because the media has changed that definition. And if you dig deeper and do a little bit more study, you will see that's not apt. That's not apt for racism. That, people's statements, whether or not you like someone or not, is racism. No, that's silly. Because that's like maybe prejudice, but that's not racism. We all have our likes and dislikes, and we're all prejudiced. You prefer butter pecan ice cream over what? Rocky Road or something. But that's prejudice. That's not racism, ISM at the end. That suffix makes a difference at the end. It's bigger than likes or dislikes or people's statements. But the media is controlling the American people. And it's a bad thing. And, you just have to not participate. You have to not participate. You have to not be a part of this whole brainwashing and propaganda from the media. This is what I say. So why do we accept all the terms that they use? I told you that the term people of color is not a good term for Black. It has destroyed Black Americans, people of color. And that, and the other term, minorities. I don't even want to be called minorities anymore. I don't think Black Americans should even be called minorities. That has been because who else are minorities? You're lumping us with these other groups that don't have our history. So I don't even want to, when are Black Americans going to be self-actualized? When are they going to be, when is that group of folks going to be their own people? Their own, we were probably more self-actualized during Jim Crow because we were sort of isolated, so to speak. But now that we're immersed with all these other groups, and that brings me back to Brexit. I know. I said last week I was going to go, but I couldn't get the logistics together, right? I couldn't get the logistics together. But then also when I saw that it's like Brexit, Black Americans exiting the Democratic Party, that it's Blacks and Latinos, I'm not like really into it that much, to be honest, right? It's like, whatever, here we go again, going through that same crap that we've always gone through, including Black Americans with every other group. And history tells us when we do that, just like with affirmative action, just like knowing right after the Civil Rights Act in 1965, here comes the Immigration Act of 1965. And Blacks didn't, and that's another thing I want to say. Conservatives always, stop saying Black Americans. Stop saying Black Americans. Okay, if I stop saying Black Americans, stop saying Black Americans, and Black America is at zero median wealth by 2053, and we're not supposed to talk about it. Stop talking about Black Americans, and we only have 27% two-parent families, and we're not supposed to talk about it. Stop saying Black Americans, and Black Americans were only 8 or 9% of the population in Los Angeles and 40% of the homeless, and we're not supposed to talk about it. Is that how you feel? Stop saying Black Americans and Black Americans, how many of our men are in prison and we're not supposed to talk about it? Is that what you're suggesting when you say we're not supposed to talk about Black Americans? We're not supposed to talk about the fact that, by our median wealth is like something like below illegal aliens, like $1,200 or something like that. That's our median wealth. We're not supposed to talk about that. We've been in this country 460 years, and by 2053, we'll be at zero median wealth, and we're not supposed to talk about that? We're just all in there together? Well, white Americans aren't going to be at zero median wealth by 2053, but Black Americans are, but we're not supposed to talk about it. Is that what you're suggesting? I can't understand. I can't understand. It's like, you don't know our history. You don't understand life. And this is why this Brexit thing is sort of like, I can take it or leave it at this point in terms of going to the rally. And I didn't go because why? They said Blacks and Latinos. History tells us as soon as we start including other groups, Black Americans end up at the bottom. History tells us that. And if you don't know history, what do? You repeat it. So, repeating the same thing over and over again, it's like a futile exercise. I just can't do it. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to pretend that I don't know something that I do know. I know that when you include Blacks with white women and Latinos and Arabs and Muslims, we're all people of color or minorities. We're all minorities. We end up at the bottom. Black Americans didn't benefit that most from affirmative action. It was other groups. As soon as affirmative action, then they bring in white women, Title IX, women. Now we're so concerned with women. That's why, that's why when you see the 2020 race coming up, all the Democrats running, it's all these women running. Like that's, and that's like something for us to be so focused on is that this, and I don't go with this identity politics. No, I don't go for it. I think the only identities that matter are Black Americans and white Americans. Those are the only two identities that matter in America. All the others just got here. And what I think Black America and white America need to reconcile, and we were on our way to that reconciliation with the Civil Rights Act, but here comes the Immigration Act of 1965. We were on our way. We were on our way with Booker T. Washington, and here come the liberals, giving us liberal ideology that has destroyed us. Every time we're on our way, there's a setback. Do you see? I don't care about the other groups. I'm not interested. They just got here 10, 20, 30 years or last week over the border. So why you don't have my history? Why am I even invested? And the first thing I saw when I was looking at the live stream on Blexit, it was the Latin, and there's another thing I want to mention. And in fact, at the half hour, Danielle is going to call in. Danielle is the president of the Malibu Bel Air Republican Federation Women or something. She's going to call in at the half hour if she's able to, because she attended Blexit, which was in downtown Los Angeles. And I was looking at the live stream, and it was like, 80%, 70% Latinos at the Black exiting the Democrat Party event. Oh, did I do 30 minutes that fast? See, I'm just not getting to Blexit. I did toxic masculinity. I did the terms. Oh, I haven't done President Trump's compromise on DACA and TPS. And there's my music. You see how quickly it goes? Anyway, when I come back from the break, there's John and Bo. Be sure to show them some love, and also show all my sponsors love. U.S. tech workers, go to their website and show them some love. It's a good thing. And johnandbro.com, go to their website and check out their music. And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about President Trump's compromise to open up the government, because we've been partially shut for 30 days, right? So, and then I'll open up the phone line. So we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back. Thanks. So I'm paying back the angels by being a good man. Paying back the angels, giving what I can. I didn't play the
Kathleen Wells, the host of the Naked Truth Report, wants to hear from you. Just like our borders, the phone lines, well, they're wide open. Call in at 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. 866-870-KRLA.
Colors us together, colors a nation, bringing us home. Red, white, and blue, keep us together, standing so tall, feeling so brave, it's a flag.
Welcome back to the Naked Truth Report. That's John and Bo. Go check them out at johnandbo.com. They have an album coming out. They're a sponsor of the show, and I appreciate it because once I started live streaming on YouTube, I couldn't use copyrighted music. You guys know I like the copyrighted music. So that's johnandbo.com. Go check out their website. Also check out ustechworkers.org and show them some love. They're one of my sponsors, and it would be great. I know there are tech workers out there that would like to support this organization, ustechworkers.org, and get involved. So let's get back to this issue about, another thing I want to mention is that last Saturday, I attended the National Association of Schools. So that was interesting. That was great. I enjoyed it very much going. It was informative. What I learned is how the academic institution, colleges and universities are just like off the deep end, so to speak. They're teaching stuff. They're teaching these youngsters crazy stuff. And that no wonder when they have because those Brexit folks are, I don't want to say, they're millennials. They're young. And say that they don't know the history. That once you start this Rainbow Coalition stuff, inclusion. In fact, I was listening to the live stream and there was a Latino guy say, Black and brown unity. When does that happen? First of all, brown folks are never like brown and black unity. Never, never, never do they say brown and black unity. They never say that. Ever, ever, ever. But we know, Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition. And, I told you about when Mayor Tom Bradley was mayor. He had that Rainbow Coalition. Everybody's working at City Hall. As soon as Villaraigosa gets in, it's all Latinos. You can't find one Black construction worker in Los Angeles. So this is not reality. Human nature is this. Each group prefers their group. This is human nature. It's natural. It's human nature. The only folks that don't seem to get that is Black folks. They're all into this inclusion, Rainbow Coalition. We're all in this together. And excuse me, Ann Coulter said, no. Ann Coulter said that at the Brexit event, in fact. She said, we don't owe Latinos anything. It is Black folks who we've deprived through slavery and Black codes and sunset laws and meritorious manumission. And, now, it's Black Americans and the direct descendants of slaves that we've neglected, that we have subjugated for 200 years. Latinos just got here last night, okay? And in fact, there's Danielle, and she says she's just getting out of the event. So we're going to get an update from Danielle. Hi, Danielle.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm good. I was just talking about Brexit. So give us your update.
I know. I was listening to it while I've been driving back.
Yeah, and I don't want to be biased. You were actually at the event. I got this perception just from watching the live stream. So give us your take on it.
Well, in all honesty, I thought it was a fantastic event. It was a lot of fun, and just the amount of people that were there and the support. Of course, Candace was the star of the show, but there was a wide cadre of people there. I'm not sure how it was streamed, if it was just from one vantage point or not, but they had, there was a wide range of people there. I did hear you mention on the show that, it sucks that it's, other people are kind of jumping on the bandwagon, but it was a really positive event. There were no issues. We didn't have any hecklers. And a lot of people walked away learning so much. I brought two friends of mine, and they were both just like blown away, and they wrote down all of the names and are like, oh my gosh, there's so many things I want to look up now in Google. One of my best friends who's actually Russian, I definitely have a lot of Russian collusion going on, but so she was blown away by learning so much about the history and just about Black American history and what was going on, and hearing about what happened prior to the Civil Rights Act and who was responsible, and just some of how everything has changed. So it was really eye-opening to a lot of people.
So approximately how many Black folks, just percentage-wise, would you say were there?
Percentage-wise, I would say, maybe 20%, because I mean, we had a lot of
20%.
There are probably people upstairs on the other on the balconies, because it was probably about 3 floors. So it was pretty crowded, to tell you the truth. There were a lot of people there in general, but a lot of young people that I've met, that I was able to meet there. So I would say maybe 20%. I'm not sure. There were a lot more there than I was expecting.
Oh, but this is supposed to be a Black event. Blexit means Black exit. But I'm not going to rain on your parade. You had a good time. And I think it's a good thing that we have a good time. I think it's a good thing that we are the world and kumbaya. I mean, I think that's fantastic. I think that's fantastic. But, because I love that song, We Are the World. I love that song. But that's good. I love positivity. But I also like an awareness that we've been here before, that we've done this before, that we had the Rainbow Coalition. Like I said, Black Americans are going to be at zero median wealth by 2053. And I'm not supposed to talk about it? We're 40%.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
No,
I know you understand. I'm just saying that to my audience.
Important.
Yeah, I know you understand, because we've talked about it before, but I'm just saying it to my truth warriors.
Right. No, and I think we do have to talk about that. We do need to talk about these things. And it's very important. And I don't think that you should stop talking about it. I definitely think you should. I think the overall goal, what Candace and Charlie are just trying to do, is to really just make sure that Black people and Hispanics are just aware of, how they've been used and manipulated.
But I mean,
and
Hispanics haven't been used the way we've been used. Because
I understand, and I did hear Anne correct that, which was great.
Right.
And I was really happy that she did.
Right.
That she did address that.
Okay.
So
yeah.
That was helpful.
Well, thanks for giving us the update, Danielle. I know you're going to be coming in soon to be a guest on the show. Danielle, as I mentioned last week, is the president of the Bel Air Malibu Women's Federation. Did I say it? Republican Women's Federation. The Malibu Bel Air Republicans Women's Federation. Yes, you're going to be in soon. And I have a lot of calls. So, Danielle, I really appreciate you calling in. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Danielle. And I'll see you soon. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So let's take a call now from Brent. He's going to talk about in LA. He's going to talk about toxic masculinity. Hi, Brent.
Hi, Kathleen. I'm so happy you're on the air.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about the idea of toxic masculinity, and I think we should include in there the toxic femininity, and divide this from toxic femininity and masculinity to what is heroic masculinity and heroic femininity, because the left is always playing with words,
yes,
and we have to always be catching them on their misuse,
right,
and their deception in language.
Yes.
And I think I had some examples of what I thought toxic masculinity might be all about. How about the pro-infanticide marchers and the Planned Parenthood movement? There are millions and millions of children being murdered by toxically masculine and feminine creatures. And when you're talking about in the Black community, oh my gosh, how many millions has Planned Parenthood taken? Also, the idea of toxically masculine people. I just was thinking Chuck Schumer or Bill Clinton or Ted Kennedy or the people of MS-13 and Hamas. And how about Dr. Glasnell, which nobody seems to want to talk about, or Harvey Weinstein?
I don't even like the term putting toxic in front of masculinity. Masculinity is a good thing.
You're absolutely right.
So why do you have to have a qualifier in front of it? Masculinity is a good thing. Well, if you want to say there's bad men and there's good men, and when they're bad men, when there was traditional relationships and traditional femininity, bad men, good men took care of bad men.
Yes.
Protected women from bad men.
But we have to do combat with their language. If they want to play with language, then we'll throw it right back in their face.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. Okay, let's take Ashley now in San Bernardino. Hi, Ashley. Oh, I'm
on the road right now. I went to the Black Exit event tonight.
Yes, I see your comment. You have a different... I'm talking. Let me talk. Ashley, I'm talking. Hello. I know you.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm in the car. That's why.
Okay. I see you have a different take on the event from Danielle. Danielle is upbeat. Well, you're upbeat too. So, okay. Tell us your take on it, Ashley.
No, a group of Black women there together. Several of us walked out. It was very insulting and degrading to us. First of all, Black Exit was supposed to be about Blacks and what has been happening in our community and how we can build ourselves up, and the extermination that is taking place by all this illegal immigration. It ended up being just pretty much about Latinos or Hispanics and what they're going through they call them our communities, which pretty much they stole from us. At the end, they had a gay guy talking, and, he did his part. That's when some women really walked out. And then it was another one at the end. They had the Latinos or Mexicans talk about, how illegal immigration, is hurting their communities and things like that. And had us talk about, our topic was how hip hop is either helping or hurting our community. We're talking about what?
Right.
What's that got to do with anything?
Right.
So the whole event was really geared.
Well, hip hop has hurt our communities. It's negative, and negative is a bad thing. But I don't like that. It's like I get what you're saying. I saw it streamed on YouTube, and just the fact that Latinos are involved is a problem for me because we've been here before with that Rainbow Coalition thing, and it doesn't work. Listen, I'm the kind of girl that goes for what works. I'm the kind of girl that goes for a winning strategy. And if it works, I'm not an ideologue. I'm a pragmatist like Trump. And if it works, I'm all for it. It does not work. There's no Black and brown unity. Newsflash. No. There is not. Because you've pushed us out of our neighborhoods, Watts, Compton, and Inglewood. Okay, so I'm not going for it, period. That's the end of the story. And Black folks have to have more standards and be more self-actualized and be your own people and stop trying to satisfy other people. I don't owe anyone anything. My family has been here since the 1700s. I owe you nothing. Okay? Black people are too insecure having to feel a need. They're too insecure having to feel a need to make other people happy. Right. And a lot of these people attach ourselves to our civil rights, and soon they suck the life out of us and steal our civil rights, and they're on to something else. And my thing, I went to hear what they had said the whole time and see what they had said about Black. It was supposed to be initially Black Exit. It is Blexit. That's why it's called Blexit. It's supposed to be Black, but they said they've made the L Latino now. Supposed to be Black. Latino, no, I think they have Lex. They changed it too. Oh, then I'm not interested. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Right. I don't. We've been there before. Right. So I didn't go think. Yes, right. No. So I didn't see you there. And like that, if we were 5%, there was just a handful of us there. But like that, I had Black women by me, and we decided we're going to do, because it's really going to have to come from us too, or from our Black mothers. There were a lot of us there, that the ones that were there. We were like 50 to 60 years old, some even 70, whatever. We just we've had enough of our kids dying like on the street. Nobody's taking our lives and our extinction seriously. And so we changed numbers, and we're going to get together, and we're going to start our own. We're going to do, trying to save our own community. So well, you have to save your own community. You have to, you have to say, okay, Ashley, thank you for calling in. Now I want to talk to Linda. She's, I want to mention this before I bring Linda on. She wants to talk about the outrage over Trump. We're all outraged over Trump's compromise, but he gave the DACA folks and TPS folks a 3-year extension, but I don't think he's gonna. I think that was just a ploy on his part. I don't know for sure. Okay, hi Linda, give your take on it.
Yes, Kathleen, I take the Ann Coulter approach on this, and calling Trump Jeb Bush on this. 3-year temporary protection. I don't believe it's going to be 3-year temporary. I think somehow it's going to be made permanent.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And I call DACA caca.
Mm-hmm.
And he could find something else, for the border to make some kind of deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Not caca. I'm going to call it caca.
Well, I mean, they rejected it, so that's that, right?
And let me tell you, if DACA becomes a reality, Garcetti will be the next president.
Oh, God. Well, let me tell you, they rejected it, so that's the good news, right?
Well, then Trump better, sign some emergency powers or executive order to just put the border wall up, no DACA.
Well, I think it was a ploy on his part, actually. I think he knew they were rejected. And in fact, Nancy Pelosi says that she would take a ban on gun control, ban on guns to get it. Or maybe that was just a joke, but I saw it on Facebook. But he's going to reject it. Okay, Linda? So we're okay. But I hear what you're saying. I agree with you. No compromise. Because it's been 5 decades.
These so-called dreamers have sucked up all the Medicaid, Medi-Cal.
They've taken up they took up all the oxygen out of the room in Brexit. They take and that's what I said, they'd be they're the majority people, so they take up all the oxygen in the room. I don't care about, you have your own groups, okay? Stay there. Stay in your area. We need to take care of Black Americans. Danielle is nice, and she said there was 20%. I'm thinking maybe less, but we are the world does not work. But it's a good idea. It's a good notion. But, they're not going to go for the DACA, Linda.
Well, also, these so-called dreamers, they're the ones they've got free college tuition, and that's why every American college kid's tuition has gone up, and they're in debt.
Right. I agree, Linda. Okay, I'm going to take a call now. Thank you, Linda, for calling into the Naked Truth. I can always count on you to do that. Okay, Keith, I know you want to give us your 2 cents, right?
Well, yeah, I guess it is maybe 1 cent because it's hardly regarded. The thing, nobody's really, I won't say nobody, because I did talk to some people there, and I even talked to the lady that you had just talked to, the president of the Malibu.
Danielle, yeah.
Yeah, Danielle, she agreed with me when I spoke to her personally. But here's my thing. I just say we need to seize the narrative. You talked about use of words. I like the way you described that. And, you and I don't always agree on everything, but I do agree with you on these things about the use of terms and words. We need to take back the American narrative.
Well, no, I'm talking about Black Americans, because it's important that we're going to be 40% of the homeless. Okay.
Well, but what I mean by that is this: I got 3 basic, and I won't say all of it, but basically here's one. It's we need to identify what it means to be American. And I think that's very important, because Blacks adopted the principles of the Declaration of Independence just as whites did. And many of them were living free and voting as whites were.
Well, let me ask. I know you said, Keith, let me ask you, how many Blacks do you think were at the Brexit event? Approximately the percent.
A lot less than what she said. Is probably maybe about 5%.
She thought 20%. Danielle, I know you're listening. Keith thinks 25%. Okay, that's very disappointing, because we've already done the Rainbow Coalition bullcrap.
But look, here's my point. My point is this: I'm not concerned about that, because see, here's how you deal with it. I'm going to say this. I know you don't like the term minorities, but let me just say it for the sake of, we know that there are less Blacks than the Hispanics are in numbers. Okay, if you're a numbers person, you know that. So here's my point. The best way to deal, the founders put it in place.
Keith, no, I can't take it.
The best way to deal with the minority, the tyranny of the minority, is to deal with it on the principles of our Constitution.
Okay, thank you. Whatever that means, that is a meaningless. That's a theory. That's not reality. Reality is that each group puts their group first. That's human nature. You're talking about a theory. Black folks are 40% of the homeless. This is reality. I mean, you keep, I don't even know, Keith, you know that bothers me. Theory bothers me because it's not reality. I deal with reality. Okay, anyway, how many more, okay, anyway, that's it, folks. So, Keith, I don't know why you do that. I am not a theory person. I'm a pragmatist, like Trump. Trump's trying to negotiate with the Democrats because this is the 30th day of the partial shutdown. He wants to open back up the government. But I don't care about the federal workers either. Because for 5 decades, they voted Democrat and precluded American workers from having jobs. Those jobs were replaced by illegal aliens and wages were suppressed. So I don't care about federal workers either. They haven't cared about American workers for 5 decades. They preferred illegal aliens if you're voting Democrat. Anyway, I'll see you next week. Next week, we're going to have a great show. I'm going to have Ian Henderson, who is with the National Association of Scholars. He's not with the National Association of Scholars. I met him at the National Association of Scholars, and we're going to talk about immigration, and we're going to talk about colleges and universities and how they're screwing up young kids' minds. Okay, we'll be right back next week. Thank you. I'm done. You guys can come in. Right. I know. Because we keep talking about theory. He calls in almost all the time talking about theory. Like the founding principles. Those are good theories, but reality, people are sleeping on the streets, okay? I'm like practical.